It's time to cruise away again here on Gecko with Derek and Joe, and this time we're sailing around the world on big dream away adventures with one of the cruising favourites, homely Holland America Line.
That's right, low-key luxury where being looked after, feeling enriched and entertained is just a small part of the charm of this incredible cruise line where music is their forte and it's never far away. Now we are taking to the Zuiderdam in this show, just one of her warm welcome home from home ships, and we're heading for Canada and New England on 2 spectacular immersive journeys later.
We are indeed, and they look incredible. I was recently on board one of their ships actually and felt the wonderful charm as soon as I stepped on board. Let's head for a wonderful 42-night grand world voyage now, taking in the Caribbean, the incredible Panama Canal, South America and across the Pacific back to Oz to see in 2025 in the best holiday style. Now we start our dream away on New Year's Eve by flying from Sydney over to Fort Lauderdale in the States for a 4-night hotel stay. And you know what we do when we're in Fort Lauderdale? Shop, shop, shop. Absolutely.
Perfection. What a lovely amount of time to be able to spend in Fort Lauderdale as well, and in December. Well, actually you get year-round sun in Florida, so that's the great thing about it, but you know, you can enjoy that and safe in the knowledge you are kind of in the tropics here. Amazing place. Las Olas Boulevard's one of my favorites, and you can get out on the waterways as well. Then it's time to cruise on one of our fabulous dam ships, and this is the Zuiderdam, and I've actually been on board the Zuiderdam for a whole contract actually. You're going to be on board for 30 fabulous nights. 38 nights, goodness me. That's amazing, isn't it? So over a month on board, and this really will become your home from home. I took her through the Panama Canal on 10-day trips when I was on board, but you're going to be going further afield and really going to some amazing destinations. This is Vista class, Holland America, so they tend to be a bit larger than some of the smaller ships, but still less than 3,000 passengers. So space is the name of the game when you're on Holland America Line ship. You know, plenty of spaces to sit around and enjoy a cocktail or two. Lots of enrichment activities as well, from the Culinary Arts Centre where you can cook with the executive chef and learn their signature dishes. Through to fun activities with the party planner and the cruise staff team. And also, you know, you are going to be on board for over a month. You might want to get into some kind of like learning some new skills, maybe whether you're in the you're going to the internet cafe and you have your computer expert taking you through kind of different programs that you might not know how to use. You might want to learn about that. You might want to do your napkin, your towel folding, your scrapbooking, all of that fun stuff.
Or the new big craze at the moment, pickleball.
Oh, everyone loves pickleball.
And you've got,
yes.
you've got a full pickleball at sea program.
You do
with Holland America Line as well, which is brilliant. So they've got the court with all the big top deck views there as well, and you can join tournaments and have a beginner's lesson as well. Because you might be like me, thinking that's the first time I've heard the word pickleball. So you can actually learn how to play while you're on board.
Yeah, and if you're not into pickleball, you can just get a pickle in your martini. Dirty martini has a pickle in it, doesn't it? Or an olive and one of those. A Bloody Mary might have that in it as well.
Good.
Now, you know, with Holland America Line, music is key to the entertainment experience. There's Lincoln Stage Centre there, BB King's Blues Bar, lots of live music happening. We are cruising out of Fort Lauderdale, and the first port we're heading into in the fabulous Caribbean is Georgetown, Grand Cayman. You can head to Stingray City and pet these amazing marine creatures where they come almost like puppy dogs right up to the boat. Is very interesting. And then you might want to head to hell afterwards. I'll just leave that out there. It's a rock formation. Puerto Limon, Costa Rica's next, and my number one here would be the Sloth Sanctuary.
So
they're adorable. There's 2- and 3-toed sloths. You can learn all about them in the natural habitat. The Veruga rainforest is lovely as well. You can do zip lining across the canopies, which is unforgettable. Then we're heading through the Panama Canal, and you will have an expert talking you through from dawn till dusk the whole crossing through the Panama Canal. Over 100 years of history. Manta in Ecuador awaits us next. We don't see this often on an itinerary. Breezy, you know, portside town, which is lovely. You have the wildlife refuge to visit there, the manta fish market, the ivory nut factory, the artisan market. Then we have got a double overnight in Lima, Peru, where you can learn all about the history of the Aztecs in some of the most amazing museums, including the Gold Museum, of course, because of gateway here to the Inca Trail as well. There's potential to maybe do a day trip up there. But yeah, loads happening. Then we have an overnight in amazing Easter Island. Now, if you've ever wanted to go and see the incredible archaeological sites there, like Ahu Tongarali and Ranukatu, you can head there and see some of these amazing rock formations. Of course, they're world famous. You learn about the Polynesian history. Then it's Tahiti, and you have an overnight in Tahiti. Which is lovely. You might just want to head to the beach here after a lot of sightseeing on previous ports, because it is absolutely, I always think Tahiti is the definition of paradise. You know, powder white sand and perfect crystal blue ocean, and some beautiful marine life if you love to snorkel or dive as well. Then we're into Moorea, also French Polynesia. You can head out and see a traditional tiki village and learn how the locals live. They're very friendly and welcoming. Or maybe you want to go in a traditional outrigger canoe and have that experience, you know, dating back thousands of years of Polynesian history. Raiatea, they call this the God's Cradle, and you have some amazing archaeological finds here. And, you know, this is one of the ports that will take you through the real history of this part of the world, such as the Marutaputapitea, which is a burial ground. Then we're on into the fabulous Cook Islands next, which is beautiful. Now, this is one of the largest islands you're going to be visiting here. They've got lovely lagoons and sort of cenotes there to experience. Of course, it is all about marine life in these ports of call. Next up, it's Nuku Alofa in Tonga. You can see the royal tombs there, and again, you know, some of these finds are thousands of years of history. They also have some lovely markets there if you want to pick up some souvenirs along the way as well. Then we're into Noumea, New Caledonia. They have a gorgeous aquarium there. Now, some of the tours that you would be recommended here include the choo-choo train, the scenic drive with cheese and wine tasting. That would be a fun one to do if you're a bit of a foodie. Couple of days at sea sees us in to Sydney, so disembarking back in Oz, which is brilliant. So here's the itinerary: flying into Fort Lauderdale for 4 fabulous nights, heading out to sea and seeing some of the Caribbean, and then we're down into Central America, and you're heading then into French Polynesia, Easter Island in Chile as well, finishing up in New Caledonia before we're back into Sydney. What an adventure!
And it all starts on New Year's Eve. How amazing would that to be, to start off your 2025 in just a matter of weeks by being over in Fort Lauderdale in the States before taking this amazing and massive and epic cruise as well. It's incredible, 42 incredible nights. So basically that's you saying goodbye to the whole of January on holiday, a little bit of February, and of course a little bit of December, the last day of this year. So in the offer, your flight from Sydney over to Fort Lauderdale, 4 nights in a hotel there, 38 nights of cruising Holland America Line on the Zuiderdam. You lucky, lucky people. What a home from home feel it will be on board as you sail your way gently, slowly, leisurely through the Caribbean, through the Panama Canal to South America, across the Pacific, and ending on our doorsteps right here in Sydney. What an amazing way to start a new year. Listen, after the year we are having right now, you deserve this, and you deserve it at a price tag which is fair and amazing for the service, for the facilities, for the dining, for the full board cruising, and all of these amazing destinations as well. That's amazing. And this is just a few weeks away, remember? I know, it feels like it's almost tomorrow. If you like the idea of this, take some of the last opportunities to really get away on the last day of this year. Go on a big adventure. Go big or go home, they say, don't they? This would be amazing. Here are the upgrade prices for your cruise, which remember is 38 of the 42 nights. 38 nights on a cruise, Joe. Oh my word, I would love it.
I know.
Having everything done for you day after day after day, having all of your meals cooked for you, having those wonderful pools to enjoy, listening to all that wonderful live music, seeing all those fabulous shows, getting involved in the activities, seeing all these dreamy places is kind of like a lovely byproduct of all of that as well.
Yeah.
Because the life on board the ship is the thing that will grab you the most, because it's a lovely way to live as well. Well, listen, you've seen the headlines. people are now buying places on cruise ships. It's now possible to buy a cabin on a cruise ship. You know, that's
Wow.
where we are in the world right now.
Who can blame them?
It's amazing. Well, you know, it's very addictive. Call us now, 1300 412 358. Remember, that number is toll free, and we're here right the way through the week. And honestly, cruising is the way to see the world. You know, I quite understand that you might want to give it a try. Well, please give our team a call. We can find you a 2, 3, 4 night taster cruise close round the corner here in Oz to give it a try, because there are so many people. There's lots of people out there that will tell you all the reasons why they won't cruise. But that's because their picture in their mind might be 20 or 30 years out of date. It might have been that cruising wasn't quite such a happy affair way back when. But we're talking about the dark ages of cruising right now. You know what? Today, these ships are so bright, so modern. They've got absolutely everything, and I would urge you to try it, because it is one of those things that once you start doing it, and a lot of people leave it later and later and later until they start cruising, and then they say, why haven't we been doing this for the last 30, 40 years?
Right, it's the convenience of the holiday.
Yeah.
That's why we love cruising. Now we are heading stateside again for our second Holland America Line Dreamaway for the 6th of May. And we're cruising the Atlantic seaboard and New England, one of my favourite itineraries. Again, we fly first from Sydney to Fort Lauderdale, and a 3-night hotel stay awaits us in South Florida. Beautiful. Fort Lauderdale is very charming. There's Las Olas Boulevard, which is strewn with fairy lights around the trees at night. You can stroll from one restaurant or bar to the next. You can head to the beach. You can go ahead and take a tour of the Everglades as well, see the alligators, head to some malls. There's Sawgrass Mills, which is world famous and fantastic for outlet shopping. Then there's the waterways to explore. But it's time to cruise, and we're going to be on board the Zuiderdam. 15 fabulous nights as we traverse the beautiful Canada-New England region. Now, this ship has a special place in my heart because I worked on board, as I mentioned before, and Vista class, my favourite Holland America Line class of ship as well. I think they're just the right size. They don't feel too big, too small. But what you have on board is space to really languish and enjoy and relax, and you never feel like you're crowded. Now, the nice thing is as well, with the main swimming pool deck, it's got a retractable roof, so you know that does cater for different weathers, which is great, you know, to know. But also you have lots of activities on board, enrichment activities, not just your regular day-to-day cruise activities, but they really are thoughtful about bringing specific lecturers on board, for example, to tailor to your itinerary. So the part of the world you're visiting, they might have an expert at that part of the world to speak to you, to give you an enrichment talk. Explorations is the team that deal with all the excursions and things. They do a great talk on, you know, what you can book and when you can book it and all of that jazz. Now, if you really want to upgrade and treat yourself, then why not get a suite? And if you have a suite, you will have the Neptune Lounge at your disposal with your private concierge, coffee machine, dining, you know, canapes and things in there. It's a brilliant experience if you can make it happen. And the suites are gorgeous. So if you really want to treat yourself as that special occasion, I would recommend that, having, you know, worked many years on the ship and saying, I mean, just the quality is superior, I think, in many, many ways. When it comes to dining, the Pinnacle Grill is amazing. That's your steakhouse, delicious food. There's Canaletto. If you want to go more low key, there's the dive-in. There's also the buffet, the Marketplace buffet, which is fantastic. Real firm focus on music everywhere you go, from string quartets through to pianists and guitarists, you know, popping up around the ship. And the Neptune Band as well. They are the house band. They play the Sailorways and lots of things. And we're heading to Norfolk first, which of course is in that fabulous part of, you know, Canada, New England. Jamestown Settlement is really interesting to visit here as one of the first settlements in Northern America. So I'd recommend that one for you. Then we have, next up, Newport in Rhode Island. Now, some tours here that you could explore are the Rose Island Lighthouse and Harbour Cruise, or you might want to do the Best of Newport, the Breakers and Marble House. You can see some of those historic houses that this part of the world's famous for. We're into Boston next. Boston is known for the Freedom Trail. You've got to go to Cheers Bar, where everybody knows your name, right? You've got to do that. Quincy Marketplace as well is electric. The energy, the atmosphere there is incredible. Portland is up next, and this is in Maine, in the US. Now, they're known for their incredible seafood in this part of the world too. You've got to try the lobster roll, which is like a brioche roll with lobster. They're known for it. They're world famous for it.
Lovely.
And next up, we are into Halifax in gorgeous Canada. You know, whether it's heading to Annapolis for a touch of wine tasting, and also they're known for the marine training school there, or just going up to the lighthouse and taking a nice stroll along the boardwalk, you will be charmed by Halifax, no doubt. Sydney is next, talking about being charmed. Sydney is a very, very tranquil Canadian port of call. People are very friendly there and welcoming as well. And you might just want to enjoy some of the lovely rugged natural landscape. Then we're into Charlottetown in Canada, where you can go and visit Victoria Park there. You can head up to the Basilica as well and Province House. Honestly, this part of the world is so charming that you will just be awestruck by the streets, the quaintness of it. Talking of quaintness of it, we're disembarking in Quebec. Now, after an overnight on board. Now, what is really nice about this itinerary, I have to say, is we don't normally see Canada-New England itineraries offered in May. Usually it's September time, so you get to go in sort of, you know, early summer, so to speak, in this part of the world. Now, Quebec is amazing because it gives you the best of Europe meets North America. You've got some incredible historical buildings to visit in Quebec, and loads more. You know, we don't have enough hours in the day to talk about how much you'll get to enjoy Quebec. But an overnight on board and 2 nights in a hotel, it's sure to, you know, say that you get an ample amount of time there to say you've been and you've experienced it and you've got the t-shirt. Hopefully you've got the t-shirt and some magnets. It is amazing.
Do you know what? We've featured a couple of stays recently on shows in Quebec City. Not a place I knew an awful lot about, but obviously, you know, you look a bit further in when you see it pop up on a few itineraries. There's a whole heap of things to do, and actually watching the videos from Quebec City as well, you don't realise, because you don't really think it, you think about it being Canadian because it's in Canada, and I know Quebec leads your mind to a French influence, but you really see it in that city, and it makes you want to dive in and discover even more. But that's what this whole holiday is all about, isn't it? You've got the wonderful home from home adventure with Holland America Line, and then you've got the discovery with all the ports as well, which is just fantastic. So in the offer here in the Dream Away package, your flight to Fort Lauderdale, 3 nights in a hotel there, 15 nights of cruising on Holland America's Zuiderdam along the New England coast to Canada, ending in Quebec City with an overnight on board the ship, and then 2 further nights in a hotel there and the flight back to Sydney. And, oh my word, you're going to want to see this. This is wonderful. Do you know what I noticed about Holland America Line as well, moreover than anything, was the relationships that build up so quickly between the crew and the passengers as well. And that means things like, just little things like people know which beer you like, what you do and don't like, what your drink is when you come to the bar, your name even. And on a smaller ship, that makes you feel ever so special. It really does. That's a great price tag for this package. Let's have a look at the upgrades then, if you want to get closer to that suite experience that Joe was talking about earlier, which is wonderful and gives you, more perks and more bonuses, as well as having a wonderful suite accommodation too. It's incredible, isn't it? Wonderful. And it is a nice select gathering on a ship of this size as well. You're looking at just under 2,000 passengers on board Zuiderdam, which is, I think is wonderful. It means it's intimate enough for you to kind of, make real connections, but still has enough choice in terms of lounges, theatres, bars, places to be, things to do, which is wonderful. And it's what you want, it's what you deserve as well. So call us now, 1300 412 358, if you're interested in taking that little adventure. There are more on the way, of course there are, and many more on the website as well, at cruiseaway.com.au. One thing I will say about Holland America Line as well is that quite often they'll have little flash promotions going on, and the one way of keeping in touch with those, literally as they happen, is being signed up to our mailing list. So go to our website, cruiseaway.com.au, scroll right down to the bottom, and you'll find somewhere there to put your email address in and sign up. And we send you pretty much daily updates, and they're all very exciting. Special deals, offers, free drinks, free this, that, the other, sales, all kinds of things. So make sure you are signed up to that. Right. Let's take another adventure on Zuidendam now. Let's go to Canada and New England again. This time, though, it's a dream away of 15 nights in September. And this time around, we're going to fly straight first from Sydney to Quebec City in Canada, which is where we ended the last adventure that we did in New England. And we're going to stay here again, this time in Quebec City. So have another look at it. We're staying for 3 nights in a hotel this time. I love that. That looks like a big chateau up there, doesn't it?
Oh, it really is.
Nice chateau.
Yeah, and the French Canadians very much identify as more French than Canadian in some ways. So you'll really find that influence. There's lots of French patisseries and bakeries. You'll hear a lot of people speaking the dialect, Quebecois. Then we are onto the Zuidendam. 7 nights on board this beautiful ship. There she is gliding through the water. I love the aesthetic of the Holland America Line ships, of just that blue and white. They're very, streamlined when you see them in the water.
Simple, isn't it? Nice,
very simple.
Calm.
Yeah, very calm.
Relaxed.
And you'll find that as well all around the ship. It's not fussy. The decor is traditionally naval inspired. So you're just going to get the polished wood. You're going to get the stripy deck chairs. The officers on board are all in naval blues, not the whites, which is, what you tend to see on ships. So it's lovely. It's very traditional. The spa is gorgeous. The sanctuary spa on board, or the greenhouse spa that you'll find on board. The thalassotherapy beds, the sauna, the salt cave, the steam rooms, all of that, which you can add on to a thermal suite pass, and it's brilliant.
Something else I noticed, Joe, when I was on board is actually all of the service that happens, whether it be the hustle bustle of the kitchens and the servery in the buffet, or the reception, guest services. It all happens very quietly and very calmly. It's very light touch. Sometimes if you're in an establishment and the chefs are arguing, or there's some kind of stress, you absorb some of that stress. Yeah. And when I was on board with Holland America Line, I just felt like everything was happening. It was a bit like a swan. It may well have been, paddling underwater, behind the scenes, but I had no clue of that.
Gracefully gliding.
Stress-free.
You will never find, in my experience, chaos on board Holland America Line. That's the lovely thing about it. It just does feel effortless.
And that makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference. It's a very calming environment. I always recommend this cruise line to anyone who wants a nice, calm, no stress, no fuss cruise, not with too many bright lights everywhere in every direction. The lighting design is thoughtfully curated to make it relaxing and just really, again, that cathartic experience for you as well.
It's a nice way of bringing everyone together as well. I remember quite a few opportunities to sing along, and the music felt appropriate. It felt like things that you knew and were familiar with, which
absolutely.
I like.
Yeah, we love the live music on Holland America Line. It's a real standout point. We're into Charlottetown in Canada first, and this is a beautiful place to visit off the beaten track in Canada that you get to really get a flair for Canada at this time of year, and of course it is the changing of the leaves. You'll see all of the gorgeous leaves. Then we're into Sydney. Sydney is known for Cape Breton, which is a magical travel destination, world famous, and the Celtic influence and music culture of this port of call is noteworthy for sure. Halifax is up next, and this one of my favourites, I have to say. I do love just strolling along the boardwalk, but if you want to get out on the ocean and maybe do some exploring and do a harbour tour, that's also a recommendation. Speak to your team on board who can get that arranged for you. Next up, we're into Portland in Maine. This is, I talked before about the lobster. Of course, Maine is famous for it, but there's lots of lovely old houses, mansion houses in these ports of call as well, worth a visit. Then we finish up in Boston.
Boston.
And you know what? You're going to have 3 nights in a hotel in Boston.
Sounds good.
Yes, Boston's truly one of my favourite cities.
It's another city, isn't it? You don't really hear much about. Everyone talks about the Cheers bar. It's always the first thing that comes to everyone's mind. But it's quite a sizable city.
Oh, it is.
And there's a lot to explore and do.
Yeah.
And actually exploring is a big thing that happens in Boston as well. It's not just the Freedom Trail. There's lots more besides. Of course, it's a coastal city as well.
Boston Tea Museum.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got to learn about that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's an amazing city, Boston. It's one of those that really surprises you. So here's your overview. Flying into Quebec, of course, having a couple of nights in Quebec, and then cruising through beautiful Canada and New England. This is truly one of my favourite itineraries of all time. I'd recommend doing it if you can in autumn. It's brilliant. And there we go.
Yeah, I like this way round that this is done. It's fantastic. So yes, we are flying you from Sydney to Quebec City, 3 nights there in a hotel, and then your 7 nights of cruising with Holland America Line on the Zuiderdam along the coast of New England down to Boston, where you'll stay for another 3 nights in a hotel there before flying back to Sydney. It's a nice, neat holiday, actually. It feels like you would learn a lot and discover a lot from this one as well. You know, discover some places that you'd heard of and you maybe thought about, but you've really come back with a real knowledge and a real something to tell people, because it's not somewhere everyone is going to. Let's have a look at the price tag of your package then. I think this is really nice. I think actually in terms of being able to go back and tell the family and friends and whatever, you know, here's where we went on a holiday. I think you'll be recommending this for a lot of people as well. It's a fabulous price tag, and you'll be so looked after on board the Zuiderdam as well. And of course, in terms of all the travel arrangements, you'll be well looked after by us here at CruiseAway. Here are the upgrade prices for the cruise then, which is 7 of your nights, of course, out of the 15. So if you fancy a cheeky upgrade there to your ocean view balcony or suite, your prices are there. And of course, if you've got any more questions beyond that, you know, you might want to know about the different types of accommodation. You might have questions about other people that you want to take with you, you know, who it's right for, who this cruise would be good for. I would say in terms of who it would be good for, Holland America Line do attract quite a pretty broad sweep of age groups as well, which is lovely. But it is for those people who prefer the slightly more classic cruising style. And if you have a love for music, you'll certainly have a love for Holland America as well, because a lot of their entertainment and vibe and feel on board is based on music. So it's about home from home feel, surrounded by, I think, some of the best music as well, because you're talking about jazz and blues and and really feeling that in small, intimate venues as well.
And one thing they do really well is the regional pairings. So when you're heading into different parts of the world, the wine pairings, the food pairings, fresh cuisine, thoughtfully created by their amazing chefs. You know, completely specific to the regions that you're heading into as well.
Yeah, they have
so
such
it's
an
real
amazing
homegrown. It just feels so authentic. That's the wonderful thing about it. So yeah, like you said, broad range of ages, because there's the kids club on board and things like that. So if you are traveling with the family, those options are always there. But just a really, really wonderful cruising experience and really excellent cuisine. Like you will not be disappointed. And I think for the value for money factor, you'll be very impressed with this cruise line.
Yeah, really nice. I saw it for myself for just the first time very recently, actually, and was blown away. I got the feel and the vibe for the cruise line as soon as I stepped onto the ship that I did. And I just thought, actually, I could do more of this. I could get very used to this. Anyway, listen, I'm afraid that's it for this show. But don't forget, of course, we're here every day on Gecko, 10 in the morning and 1 and 4 in the afternoons. Come back and see us again. And we will cruise away some more to some other far-flung places around the world. See you soon.
Ciao for now.